قامت قوات
Israeli Defense Forces bombarded the Syrian regime's military headquarters in Damascus on Wednesday, following deadly chaos that erupted near its border between Syrian troops and warring local groups. In a region brimming with conflicts, the recent violence points to yet another complicated struggle. So what exactly is going on in Syria? Here's everything you need to know. The Israeli attack on Syria's defense ministry comes after Israel announced it struck military tanks in the country's Sweida province on Monday. The area had become a battleground between pro-government Sunni Bedouin tribes along with government forces on one side and the Druze militia on the other. Israel has vowed to protect the Druze, a minority Arab group of about 1 million people, over half of whom live in Syria. The group follows a religion that is an offshoot of a branch of Shia Islam. Most Druze in Syria live in areas around the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights in the southern part of the country. Now, Israel seized the strategic location in the 1967 Mideast War and annexed it in 1981. More than 20,000 Druze live in the Golan Heights, along with about 25,000 Jewish settlers from Israel. In Israel, the group is seen as a loyal minority and often serve in the armed forces there. The Druze in Syria, however, have been engaged in a conflict with pro-government armed forces in recent months. The country is still recovering from the fallout from their nearly 14-year-long civil war, which killed hundreds of thousands and finally ended in December after the country's former president Bashar al-Assad was overthrown. Syria's new president, Ahmed al-Sharaa, vowed to form an open, multicultural government to revive his war-torn nation. However, he only included one Druze member in the new 23-member government that he announced in March. Meanwhile, Sunni extremist forces who were oppressed under the brutal Assad regime are now loyal to al-Sharaa and have set their sights on religious minorities. Fears had been rising that the Druze would be the next group targeted after revenge attacks in March from Sunni factions along the Alawite minority. It's an ethnic group of former President Assad. The mass killings left hundreds dead, and subsequently in April, fighting between Druze and pro-government forces left over 100 more dead, this according to CNN. Clashes erupted between the Druze and Sunni Bedouin clans in Sweida after members of a Bedouin tribe in the area set up a checkpoint where they attacked and robbed a young Druze man reported to be a vegetable seller. The incident sparked a back and forth of kidnappings between the two factions, eventually leading to clashes breaking out between the armed groups. Government forces were sent into Sweida early Monday morning with the goal of restoring order in the province. However, some members actively participated in helping the Bedouins. Reports and videos soon surfaced purporting to show Syrian government forces burning Druze homes and humiliating their men by forcibly shaving their mustaches. Subsequent fighting in the area left over 350 people dead, along with widespread destruction of residential homes and churches, and this is according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. The violence also led to hundreds of Syrian Druze attempting to cross the border into Israel in order to escape the conflict. In response, on Monday, the IDF launched their first in a series of attacks on Syrian military assets, vowing to protect the Syrian Druze from Damascus and reinforce their army along the occupied Golan Heights. The office of Benjamin Netanyahu said in a statement, quote, "Israel is committed to preventing harm to the Druze in Syria due to the deep fraternal alliance with our Druze citizens in Israel, as well as their familial and historical ties to the Druze in Syria." On Wednesday, Israel struck the entrance to Syria's new government's military headquarters in the country's capital of Damascus, as well as another target near the presidential palace, according to the IDF. An IDF spokesperson said that the strikes were a, quote, message to the president Ahmed al-Sharaa, who has former ties to al-Qaeda. Israel and Syria had been in talks to rebuild their relations under the new regime, with U.S. envoy to Syria Tom Barrack touting that permanent peace would be possible back in May. He has since condemned the violence in Sweida, calling for the perpetrators of the attacks against the Druze to be held accountable. On Wednesday, the Interior Ministry of Syria announced a ceasefire agreement with the city's Druze religious leaders in that same region, and government forces withdrew that evening. In a televised address to the nation, al-Sharaa spoke directly to the Druze population.
I also address the Druze people, who are an integral part of the fabric of this nation. Syria will never be a place for division or fragmentation, or sowing discord among its people. We assure you that protecting your rights and freedom is one of our priorities, and we reject any effort that aims to drag you to an external party or to create division within our ranks. We are all partners in this land.